Aloha, folks, and welcome to New Moon in Aries. New Moon in Aries. Okay, well, what are we talking about? What seeds are we planting? New moon, planting seeds. What seeds are we planting for this new moon? Aries, with the themes of the process of becoming honest, not honesty, like I've heard so many people say. Aries isn't honest. I've met plenty of strong Arians, and they're not honest. But here to discover and learn and flesh out the process of becoming honest. Yes, the process of being honest in a more technical way, I would say, is the process of turning negative into positive. And that process of turning negative into positive is where we get those themes of initiative. And it's those themes of initiative that we get the more stereotypical terms that describe Aries as like a leader or a general or a trailblazer. You know, Aries have to be really honest with themselves about their fears. If you're going to be a trailblazer, if you're going to be honest, you have to look at your fears. You have to take the initiative to look at the dark parts of oneself. Aries in the theme of Monday is in the 10th house. There's a lot of room to fall from up there. So it is this process of burning away that which doesn't serve oneself. So let's get into my little anecdote that I have for you guys today. I think it's really kind of interesting. It kind of helps me tie in the seeds that I would like to plant for this new moon. And I would love to wonder about the fruit that will bear in 6 months. So I was on an airplane recently, and the person sitting next to me was a young woman, a girl really, about 14, 15. She told me she was a freshman, soon to be sophomore in high school. No worries, I don't know her name, but she had beautiful blonde hair, and I just remember seeing her out of the corner of my eye and getting this sense that she had nervous energy like a spider web on her. And the more I observed her, the more I felt into that. And what it was is this deep feeling of unseatedness. There was no deep feeling of relaxation. That is what I was looking for. I was looking for a feeling of relaxation underneath that nervous energy, because I've met people that move very quick and swift, very airy people, not Aryan, airy, air like the element. I've met many swift people. They have swift movements, but they don't carry that nervousness like what this girl had. And so I began to get curious. I was very curious for sure. But I didn't say anything right away. I took a nap for about 2 hours. And then I started talking to her, and it was definitely a magical conversation because I had a watch and I was well aware of how many hours we had left on that airplane ride. But once she and I started getting into it, man, we opened up a portal, and I kid you not, it felt like we only talked for 45 minutes or an hour, but it was more like 3 or 4. So I want to get into what's really important and relevant to planting seeds in Aries. And I'll talk about how it's related to some of the other themes that I've been contemplating lately. But what I really got into with her was this nervous energy. And I made a comment. I was like, yeah, I noticed you have this nervous energy attachment. That is actually what I told her. Yeah, I noticed you have this nervous energy attachment. What is that? How are you? What do you experience? What are you experiencing? And was interesting. It was fascinating because there was little to no small talk. I love this. I love this girl. Man, yeah. Love to meet her when she becomes an adult. I'd love to see how she develops. Neither here nor there. Anyway, she tells me that, yeah, she does have this, like, everybody notices it, and that she's been diagnosed with ADHD. She called herself as diagnosed with ADHD. She labeled herself as neurodivergent. So, me being the curious Sagittarius rising that I am, I got to poke at that. Tell me more. What's the truth? What's your truth behind calling yourself a neurodivergent ADHD person? The girl tells me she's seen multiple therapists, continues to see therapists about this, and this is her perception, or this is at least how she described it. And I'm doing my best to use her actual words, and I will make a note when I switch into my words. Her definition of neurodivergent is as such. When you're neurodivergent, let's do neurotypical first. Her definition of neurotypical was something like this. If you're neurotypical and someone comes up to you and asks you to do something, because they've asked you to do something, that gives you the motivation to do it, and so you do it. Neurodivergent, according to her, is if you're neurodivergent and someone comes and asks you to do something, you take it into consideration and you think about whether or not you like it or whether or not you want to do it. And then based on if you do like it and are interested, you do it. And if you're not interested and you don't want to do it, you don't do it. I was stunned, shocked, flabbergasted, befuddled. Oh yeah, befuddled for a moment there, and just like, ha, that's what they're telling you. This is what they're teaching you. So here's my words based on the vocabulary that my family would use when I was growing up. Neurotypical, to me, sounds like a robot. This is what I told her too. That sounds like a robot. You go to the car factory and you push the button, and every single time you push the button, the same thing happens. The machine stamps, and I don't know, you have a machine stamped hood or fender or what the fuck ever. Robot. Input, output. No processing. Input, output. Input, output. Input, output. Input, output. Dog sit. Dog stay. Dog fetch. Dog lay down. Input, output. Okay? Neurodivergent, according to her definition, sounds more like what I would consider to be a computer. There is a computation. There is actual processing. Input, processing, output. Input, processing, output. Now, we didn't go into this part. Now I'm sharing this part with you guys. Neurotypical sounds like a slave. Neurotypical sounds like the people that were put on trial in Nuremberg. And while the Nazi and Nuremberg example is the easiest one for me to use, history provides us with a plethora of examples of when people were ordered, instructed, requested, asked, told, whatever, to do heinous crimes, kill people, enslave people, imprison people, physically harm people, emotionally harm people, electrocute people, mentally traumatize people, split people up from their families, kill people based on their commanding officer's order. That was the number one big thing in the Nuremberg trials. I did it because I was ordered to. And we, as humanity, decided to unite with a very Aryan energy and say, no, that is not okay. Just because somebody tells you to do something doesn't mean that it's okay. It is important, and it is more than important. It is vitally essential to the core of what it means to be a human being to process what you are being told. Input, processing, output. Apparently, this is neurodivergent. Apparently, this is typical of autistic, ADHD, ADD, and other mental diseases, disorders. Disorder, that's right, that is a disorder. If you're a general telling the Red Guard to go kill all these religious fanatics, and you're trying to impose this particular type of order, when someone says, I'm killing this person over a different belief system, that's not okay. Yeah, well, that is disorder for whatever this other person's idea of order is. This is very much a process of becoming honest with ourselves. The Nuremberg trials were a picturesque example of this process of becoming honest. And we really need some balance going forwards, because we're in a state in the world again where there are certain people who are being told that you're not supposed to process. You're diverging from the group. Your divergence is a disorder. It's a dis-ease. You're not harmonious anymore. I think that by telling this kid she was not harmonious, that was what was giving her the dis-ease, that nervous spiderweb attachment energy that she had. And I know that she really appreciated the conversation that I had with her. I did share with her about this robot of a neurotypical and a computer idea of the neurodivergent. She didn't show me any of her art, but that's where her genius lies, according to her. She can spend hours reading and listening to music and drawing, and yet she has no attention for math. And that's totally fine, because somewhere out there is someone with the exact opposite genius that has hours and hours and hours for math, hours of attention for math, and none for drawing. That's great. Cogs fitting together in a new way, in a different way. So this is trickery. It was trickery. This Gemini in the 12th house, this trickery happening in her subconscious, the collective subconscious. And Sagittarius in the 6th house, this is Thema Mundi. This is where these houses I'm coming up with are coming from. 6th house, Sagittarius. It is our responsibility to hit the truth. It is our responsibility, it is our work to find the truth. Otherwise, we are slaves. And that is the truth. Did I talk about Libra yet? Libra, we need to balance. We need some balance. And we have the sun and the moon both in Aries. both really saying, how can we light up becoming more honest in our day-to-day lives? It's going to require grounding ourselves in balance, because the nodes are in this Sagittarius Gemini axis. And so the nodes are allowing us to really have the full light of awareness of the slavery that we've come from and the trickery that we're heading towards if we don't find balance. Libra, we need a proper exchange between each other. Libra's air. Libra's about communication. We need to have balanced exchanges. The girl and I talked about a lot more things than what I'm sharing here, but those were for us. We had a balanced exchange. The parts that I can remember, she gave me so much. And I know it was a fair exchange because, as I stated, a 3-hour conversation felt like 1 hour. There was real magic on that airplane. And I know she felt it because at the end of the conversation, she did relax. And she felt like a little giddy kid. Before, she was just like this, like I said, nervous. It's like there was spider webs on her energetically. And I had to pry a little bit to get to that part, because when I mentioned it at first, the first thing she said was, oh, I have mosquito bites. Oh, I have eczema. And I'm not going to get into that. I didn't get into that with her because I knew there was something else. And that's how we got into the whole ADHD, neurotypical, neurodivergent. And it's difficult for someone such as herself to really be honest with herself about what's happening when all the people that surround her are telling her these things. And I'm over here like, trickery, tricks. That's not right. That's not how I see things. And we talked. And she said something that I will hold close to my heart for a long time, forever. She said that she had seen so many therapists and that I should be a therapist, that I was better than any therapist that she had ever talked to. And I'm just sitting here like, that's because I didn't take the same classes as those therapists. And that's fine. We don't need to get into that. Just ask yourself, what seeds are you planting? Where is it in your life, particularly depending on what house Aries is in your chart? Where is it in your life that you can become more honest with yourself? Where is it that you want to plant the seeds for taking true initiative to turn those negative, contracted, constricted, cringe, repulsive parts of yourself and relax? Thank you.